Hello, all. I'm your host, Rodimus Prime. It is Friday, May 20th, 2022. Um, we're going into the weekend. Hopefully, you guys have some fun stuff planned. Me, I'll probably have to take care of some stuff around my place. I'll have to do some laundry and stuff, just the basics. But we're going to do an interesting video today. And to do this video, we got to do a little bit of background on the subject we're talking about, and that is the name, image, and likeness deal that was recently done by the NCAA. Now, they produced an article this last year talking about this, and the article states college sports are currently undergoing what may prove to be the single most significant change they will ever experience, all from one simple question: should college athletes be paid? The answer comes down to three letters: NIL, which stands for name, image, and likeness. So what a college can do is they can reach out to you and basically recruit you, but in a sense actually pay you. Be like, hey, we feel that you would be a great addition to our school. With that being said, we're willing to pay you in the realm of $250,000. Now, a lot of schools have been set in place to make sure that it doesn't become this style of getting pay for player, essentially, which is what they're doing now, but just not as extreme as like some of these NFL contracts you see. Is they will say this is the limit we can do for this deal. So some schools it's like 25,000, 100,000. Some schools might be $500,000. Basically, what it allowed colleges to do was to look at these players, because the topic was raised for college athletes. You have guys who are going to school, and it doesn't matter if you are a student, if you're an athlete, if you are in another state, it's not cheap. If you are in the same state that your family lives, it's still not cheap. You have classes, you have books, you have transportation, clothes, all that stuff may be taken care of in terms of like your scholarship that they get. But what about food and other basic stuff? A lot of these guys, from what I hear from the stories you read, some of these guys are getting 50, 60 bucks for a week, sometimes even a weekend. Now, I'm a big dude. I'm about 6'4", about 290, 300 pounds. Average size of a college lineman. And I know what I eat in a weekend. And I know that these guys, some of these guys were like 6'6", 6'7", 350. Their intake is not going to be covered by 50 to 60 bucks. So this NIL deal was meant to protect the players and make sure that they were not basically going to school and not being able to get by, because a lot of these guys were having to take these, and I hate talking about this, but it's true. Now, anybody says it isn't is full of crock of shit. Excuse my language. But they're having to take these deals underneath the table so they could get by. You hear guys talk about it all the time from the 80s and the 90s. And it's insane to say, but this was put in place for these athletes to make sure that they could get some food, get new shoes if they need to, just basic essentials. And I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with making sure that a student athlete who is thousands of miles away from his family has enough money to get by, to get from place to place, to maybe go out once in a while, and to maybe get some food, maybe go out to eat once in a while, maybe do something like that. Basic stuff, because here's the thing. He is a scholarship athlete at the end of the day, and it is an expectation from the school that he's going to fulfill their obligation to basically be like, hey, we want you to play for us. We want you to be here all the time. So the obligation is that these kids are going to spend 8 to 10 hours a day doing football. So how are they, with a full college thing of classes, a football schedule, able to go out and work even a normal 20-hour-a-week job to get extra money? It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. So this was put in place to help those guys out, right? Now, we're about a year into this, right? And we recently had the most recent recruiting year. And well, somebody decided to say something about that. Now, who would that have been? Anybody in the room? Might it have been the guy that's been at the head of college football for the last 7 to 8 years, and maybe didn't get the #1 recruiting class, and maybe, just maybe, is a butthurt person and decide to throw under the bus his constituents, guys that had worked for him before. Hell. This guy even had the gonads to say that Deion Sanders paid a guy $1 million to come to a Division II school. Now, first of all, that's a slap in the face to Deion. Second of all, this is prime time. This is top 5 fucking secondary, excuse my language again, top 5 secondary of all time. Hall of Famer, multiple Super Bowl champion. And you're telling me he needed to pay somebody $1 million to come play there? If I am a student athlete trying to make it in the NFL and that is my position, bro, I'm going to go play for Prime. Because you want to know what? The guy has played at the top level at every single step of his career. High school, college, and pro. So for this person to go ahead and say that, oh, he paid him, I laugh. Now, of course, referring to old Nick Saban here. Old Nick Saban decided to go ahead and say that Texas A&M bought every single player they got and decided to go ahead and throw Deion under the bus. Now, as I stated, it's Deion Sanders. That's one. But okay, you talk about Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M. So they have a better recruiting class than you do. So your first thing is to say, oh, they paid their players. Let's be real here. Saban says we've ran a clean program. That man has had so many good recruits because of the previous championships he's won. But I guarantee you, if you look deep enough, there's definitely been some pay for play. There has definitely been some pay for players, and Saban will never admit to that. But to think that he is so holier than thou that he has never done it, come on, Nick. Come on, Bray. Even someone who never watches college football can look at you and go, come on, Bray. So for me, I was sitting here, as everybody else probably was, and then old Nick decided to come out and give this little piece here. I'm going to go ahead and play this clip for you guys here. And then I'm going to go ahead and play for you Jimbo Fisher's response to this after he decided to go ahead and go scorched earth on Texas A&M. Check this out.
Recruiting last year, A&M was first. A&M bought every player on their team, made a deal for name, image, and likeness. All right, we didn't buy one player. All right, but I don't know if we're going to be able to sustain that in the future because more and more people are doing it. So if the NCAA doesn't get some protection from litigation, whether we got to get an antitrust or whatever it is, from a federal government standpoint, this is not going to change because they cannot enforce their rules. Just like Nate said, we have a rule right now that says you cannot use name, image, and likeness to entice a player to come to your school. Hell, read about it in the paper. I mean, Jackson State paid a guy $1 million last year that was a really good Division I player to come to school. It was in the paper, and they bragged about it. Nobody did anything about it. I mean, these guys at Miami that are going to play basketball there for $400,000, it's in the newspaper. The guy tells you how he's doing it. So, but the NCAA can't enforce their rules because it's not against the law. And that's an issue. That's a problem. And unless we get something that protects them from litigation, I don't know what we're going to do about it.
This one deserved a full cam on this. Shame on you, Nick Saban. Shame on your hypocrisy, and shame on you for calling out somebody for what you did. Because you know damn well as I do that you did the same thing. But let's get back into this now, shall we? So, when Saban went ahead and he decided to go ahead and yield that piece of knowledge, it was only right that would garner a response. And, well, Mr. Jimbo Fisher went ahead and levied a response here, and we're going to go ahead and listen in on that and see if Jimbo was pleased or if maybe he was a little bit perturbed. What do you think happened? His entire program was basically told that on national TV that you pay for your players, every single one of them. How do you think he responded? Think it was good, or you think it was not so great?
I'd like to respond to some comments made last night in Alabama.
Yes, I would. First of all, I'll say it's a shame that we have to do this. It's really despicable. It's despicable that somebody can say things about somebody and an organization. More importantly, 17-year-old kids. You're taking shots at 17-year-old kids and their families. That they broke state laws. That they're all money. We bought every player on this group. We never bought anybody. No rules were broken. Nothing was done wrong. It was all in the way we do things, the ethics in which we do things. And these families, it's despicable that a reputable head coach could come out and say this when he doesn't get his way or things don't go his way. The narcissist in him doesn't allow those things to happen, and it's ridiculous. But when he's not on top, and the parity in college football he's been talking about, go talk to coaches who coach for him. You'll find out all the parity. Go dig into wherever he's been. You can find out anything. And it's a shame that you got to sit here and defend 17-year-old kids and families and Texas A&M because we do things right. We're always going to do things right. But we're always going to be here. We're doing a heck of a job. These coaches have done a great job. Our players have done a great job. The whole organization of recruiting people. It's despicable that we got to sit there at this level of ball and say these things to defend the people of this organization, the kids, 17-year-old kids, and their families. It's amazing. Some people think they're God. Go dig into how God did his deal. You may find out about a guy that a lot of things you don't want to know. We built him up to be the czar of football. Go dig into his past or anybody that's ever coached with him. You can find out anything you want to find out, what he does and how he does it. And it's despicable.
And then to follow that up of that just amazing rebuttal by Jimbo Fisher, because this is just chef's kiss right there. We go to Deion Sanders' Twitter, and the first thing you see, look at this. This was posted day before yesterday. You best believe I will address that lie Coach Saban told tomorrow. I was awakened by my son that sent me the article stating that we paid Travis Hunter $1 million to play at Jackson State. We as a people don't have to pay our people to play with our people. How? The man said so little and said so much. Deion Sanders, I love you so much sometimes. I really do. I've loved watching you play. I've loved your attitude, passion, your heart that you bring to the game. And when you do shit like this, oh, it just makes me smile so much. So much. He said exactly what I was hoping he would say, which is basically like, I'm a good coach. I don't need to pay anybody to come play for me. And guess what? He's right. He's fucking right. Personally, I think that he did a great job responding here. And I think Saban has basically started what I think is going to be a growing trend. We look at this NIL deal, and yes, it does give money to the players, but at the same time, you're now going to have this constant he said, she said. You're going to have this where a guy goes to a school, and the immediate question is going to be going forward, how much did they pay him? And it sucks. Because I know a lot of players who the reason they go to their school has nothing to do with money. It may be a career they're invested in, or it may be that that's where their family went to as an alma mater. There's so many other factors that go into it. Maybe a girlfriend goes there. Regardless, the fact remains is that the best players going forward are going to have this question on their back, and it's going to give some more scrutiny to the collegiate athlete, because as a whole, the collegiate football athlete has had the most scrutiny of any collegiate athlete, hands down. They get paid too much. There's too much invested in these programs. There's too much time. There's a lot that we can get into, and I'm not going to today. But there's a lot. And this is just one more thing for basically a 17, 18-year-old kid who is trying to figure out who he is, go to school, try to make it in a sport that he loves, and just trying to figure out who he is. And it's almost impossible because we got such a microscope on everything invested into college football. I love it. I think it's a great sport, but at times it turns into this. the he said, she said. I guess at this point it'd be he said, he said. My bad. But it's basically like, it's too much. And you've got somebody who's probably paid their players versus somebody else who's probably paid their players. And they're both saying one thing, you know. At the core, this is an argument between Texas A&M's head coach and Alabama's head coach. And Nick Saban has even retracted his statement saying he apologizes to Jimbo Fisher. So maybe he went a little bit too far, but you know what? The people who will tell you the truth, I've heard Shannon Sharp say this on his show. The people who tell you the truth are kids, angry people, and drunks. Well, Nick Saban was angry, and it seems that there might have been a little bit of kernel of truth. And guess what? Jimbo Fisher was angry, and there may have also been a kernel of truth. So when we look back at this and we say that this might have been the first occasion of it, we can understand that this is not the last time. You're gonna have a lot more drama involved in these proceedings going forward, and we're gonna eat it up. We're gonna eat it up because we love it. As stupid as it is, we love it. But that's gonna do it for me, guys. Thank you so much for letting me rant about this. I think it's ridiculous. I think both guys have done it, and that's just how it is. I think it happens a lot in college football, and nobody wants to talk about it. So that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. And as I always say, you don't have to agree with my opinion, but thank you for staying through the video. And have a great day. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys on Monday.